Inauguration Day, January 20th, the CEO of TikTok, whose company is deemed a national security threat under U.S. law, was seated next to Tulsi Gabbard, the pick to run the intelligence community. Despite this national security law, you can see the picture of him right there. And Mr. Trump seems to have given them a reprieve. The editorial board of the Wall Street Journal said Mr. Trump's TikTok order shows a Biden-like disdain for limits on his power. What do you make of this decision not to implement the law for at least a period of time? Well,
let's be clear. TikTok is absolutely a national security threat. The law passed by Congress that came out of the House China Select Committee that was chaired by Michael Gallagher that drafted this law found that TikTok was a national security risk because of two things: its access to data and its ability to use itself as a propaganda tool by China itself, and the laws in China that allowed China to compel TikTok to manipulate itself, both its data and its access to China and its use of propaganda. The Supreme Court upheld this. It remains a national security threat. Because of that, the United States Congress, the law that is the law of the land, says that ByteDance needs to divest itself. Now, the only thing that would protect the United States and protect our citizens is divestiture.
Meaning sell it.
And that means that ByteDance needs to divest itself. Now, Elon Musk has said something very interesting. He said, of course, he's noted that Twitter, his X, does not have access to China. And that's sort of an admission by China as to what they're doing with TikTok. They won't let Twitter or X in, almost an admission as to what they're doing. ByteDance have said, well, we won't sell it. Another admission that it's really not a business. This is a propaganda tool, is an access to data.
But Donald Trump's not convinced of that because he issued an executive order saying he'll figure out a deal.
Well, he has said, and we certainly hope that he gets a deal that recognizes the issue of national security, because there is no role.
Days to come to that deal.
There is no role in which
they're not selling.
There is no role. That's what they've said. There is no role in which they can remain active, in which China can have access to this data. Let me give you just two examples. And by the way, I commend to people the Supreme Court decision because it lays out in incredible detail the national security threat. If the app is on your phone, they have access to the data on your phone. And President Trump
outside of that app.
Outside of that app, and even the threat is to the access that your phone has to other app and other data, and that's why governments have prohibited the app being on government phones, U.S., U.K., and India has banned the whole app in its country. And then, of course, there's the propaganda aspect of how this can be manipulated. Romania just set aside its entire presidential election because of concerns that TikTok has manipulated data and propaganda with respect to its presidential election. Grave concerns as to what can be done with this, with TikTok.